raise a glass to Devo Davis.
Mine's kind of watered down because I've been here for a minute, but
To raise the glass to Arkansas boy, Devo Davis, who in the second half said, "My middle name is March. Get on my back, boys. Let me show you how you do this." As Arkansas moves on to the Sweet 16 by defeating Kansas by a score of 72-71. Dude, what a game. It was something you didn't feel great about going at halftime. You didn't know what was going on. And man, that second half was as awesome a game of basketball to watch. I mean, it's right up there. I mean, we've had a lot of great moments, in the last 3 years with Muss. That's right up there, dude. That second half of this Kansas game was just incredible. And Devo Davis, I mean, he was anyway, but is rapidly solidifying himself in the hearts of Razorback fans for all time.
yeah, I mean, the only thing it lacked was like that quintessential buzzer beater or
Mm-hmm.
something. But uh, yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the bigger moments in, I mean, not to overstate it, but like it's one of the top 20 moments of Arkansas sports. Like
Yeah.
it's a big deal to, and like I said, maybe it wouldn't be if we had had a slightly better season and we were a 4 seed, you'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, but like everything combined together with the struggles and the injuries, and the expectations being kind of shrunken down a little bit to beat the number one seed in your side of the bracket is a big deal.
It's a
It's
bit
it's
it's a really big deal. It is. And I think just the way it happened too. Um, dude, I mean, it's weird because coming into this season, you had this recruiting class, and like the expectations were at all time high. I mean, you go back and watch our preseason video. I mean, it's all time high stuff, back to back Elite Eights. You have like the best recruiting class in Arkansas history. Um, and the season, you get injuries, and the season doesn't really. There's a lot of bumps, and you start realizing that, oh yeah, but 5 stars are still freshmen and all this kind of stuff. And it feels like it's not going the way it's supposed to. And there's something awesome about a a guy like Devo with all of these surrounded by all this lottery picks and talent that's come in here and it I don't know, it wasn't just Devo. We'll get into the rest of the game, but it just being a night that was Devo's night, man. And like Devo was the guy that's been there before, and he was just huge, man. I mean, he was just enormous, and
and
it
you
was sort of fitting. You're like, what? I love all the other guys and stuff, but it just wasn't the way that you would have thought it was at the beginning of the year, where you're like, we have all these guys, and like, of course, Devo's going to play a role, of course, he's going to play defense and stuff, and man, Devo just was. I mean, Devo just couldn't have played better. I mean, it's a bummer that he fouled out. That's the only thing that really sucks about it. But not only Devo, you can't overstate how important Kamani was in this game. I mean, Kamani was huge down the stretch in this game.
just that putback tip. I
Yeah,
mean, that was I mean,
and
like I said,
like,
it's a 1 point game. Every single
mm,
ball tap mattered. Every rebound, Jordan Walsh's. I mean,
Jordan, this is
that
this
that that tip on the rebound.
Jordan Walsh played great, man. I so hope Jordan Walsh comes back next year.
Jordan Walsh's three. I mean, everybody. I mean, we had to have
Ricky
every
Ricky
single.
Council just netting free throws, being a stud at the line.
Well,
Ricky Council when Devo went out and somebody had to be the guy because Devo was the guy the second half, and they let him be the guy, but someone else had to step up, and Council did, man. He
well,
really
that, and
did.
that's the thing. Obviously it was a team effort. I mean, you can't win that game. Devo can't win that game defensively on his own. He can't win that game without rebounders. But he put the team completely on his back when we got down by 12, and it looked. I mean, like I said, 12 for this team is like
Mm,
20 for other teams because
mm,
we are such a sluggish offensive team, and you could tell. I feel like you could tell that we were having to put out more effort to keep them from scoring than they were to keep us from scoring. I mean,
mm.
we were having to play so hard on defense, and then to also try to capture a rebound because a lot of times we were out of position because of how hard we were having to play and how much we were having to chase. And so we were just putting out a lot more effort. And but and even though you needed all them, when we got down by 12, it felt like to me, I mean, I was like, this is not gonna it's very gonna be very difficult for us. And Devo put us on his back, drug us back to in the game within four. And then, like I said, he's the number one player, but Council is definitely A2 because it doesn't matter. Nothing Devo does matters if Council doesn't step in and finish it. And he
Right,
had to finish it.
go 10 of 11 from the free throw line.
And just driving the ball to the
Mm-hmm.
basket. I mean,
Council. By the way, Council does play 40 minutes this game.
and he played well the whole game.
He
I mean,
did.
he
He
didn't.
did.
He played well in the first half too. Like he really was.
I mean, his shooting wasn't great. He was 5 of 18. He struggled a little bit early, like that the jump shot wasn't going, but he made like when it mattered, dude. When it mattered, like he was clutch. I mean,
And
he was clutch.
some of those percentages don't really reflect right because he's getting like they
He's getting
still
fouled. He's
count as
getting fouled.
misses when he's getting fouled, and he's getting 2 free throws for them
Yeah,
anyway. So like
yeah.
that's not really.
Well,
Sometimes that's deceiving.
the 1 of 6 from the 3 point line. Those other 5 3 pointers that he shot,
Yeah.
but dude, like he was so clutch down the stretch. I mean, Kamani Johnson, gives you 19 minutes, gets you 10, 4 points, 10 rebounds. Huge, dude. He's got 10 rebounds in 19 minutes. Huge.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, like I said, he played great, and he got screwed a little bit. I mean,
Oh,
that
dude. By the way, I didn't think it was terrible or anything, but like, I better not hear any Kansas fans complain about any reffing either, because I felt like we were on the bad end of
a
several
couple of.
calls.
I mean, dude, that's he swung that elbow into his ribs,
Oh, dude, that's not a foul,
and then we
dude.
get and then we got called for the foul. That was crazy.
Dude, on pickup ball, some dude tried to tell me that I fouled him during that. I wouldn't. I won't. There's no chance I give you that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. So he played. I mean, Devo Davis numbers. 9 of 15, 6 of 7 from the free throw line, 25 points, 8 rebounds. I mean, Devo was the best game of his career. Don't you? I mean, that is the moment of Devo Davis's career at Arkansas so far.
yeah. I mean, it was epic, and because his defense was so crazy on the other end, and it did feel like, I mean, that was a battle of attrition, and it was a good thing it didn't go to overtime because we were probably going to lose in overtime because we were running out of defenders. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like there was when once Walsh left, I was like, I don't know. I mean, when you looked at the effort we were having to put in to try to stop those guys, I mean, those guys are good and they have good bodies. Like those are big, fast,
Mm.
strong players. And I was like, I don't know if there's anybody else on the bench that can guard any of these guys.
Dude, what do you we got to talk about this. By the way, dude, we're going to the Sweet 16. Like
3 years in a row.
it's ridiculous, man. Um like what do you but we have to talk about this epic win. I mean, at this point, you have to say that this was a great season no matter what happens now.
I think so. I think that's what this like. I obviously both
And
things are true.
if anyone was like starting to lose faith in Musselman, you can forget about that too.
Yeah, both of these things are true. That made the season a good season. That was a win that was unexpected. We played over our heads, and but between the epic play of Devo to pull us back in that, and then to finish the game off and win that game, that makes the season great. But also, the reason I'm elated is because when you look at what's happening in this tournament, it's what we've been talking about the whole season, which
Mm-hmm.
is this tournament is flatter than it's ever been. The transfer portal has changed everything. You've got 16s beating ones, you've got 15s beating twos, you've got 13s.
You got Princeton in the Sweet 16 as well, knocking off Missouri.
Yeah, and then what I'm saying is, I did not think that this team had any chance of like whereas the other seasons our teams, I mean, we were ranked in the top 25 and we were had very good record. It's like you could see a version of this going where you actually get in the national championship and then anything can happen. This team did not seem like that, but
Yeah.
now that it's down to 16 teams and half of those teams are like the big dogs are starting to fall, including the one we just killed, and it's like it actually isn't impossible. There's that flicker of hope where it's like,
Mhm.
it's not impossible. We're going to be playing,
UConn,
somebody that we,
we're gonna play UConn or St. Mary's.
yeah. And then after that, I mean, I'm not afraid of Gonzaga
By the
and
way,
whoever comes out of that.
Anthony, uh, stud for coming back because he's hurting and he played through it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that was a struggle for him. You could tell it was hard, and so props to that. Also, bro, get a bucket of ice. You got a couple days now because we're gonna need that swelling to go down.
Yeah. Yeah, you could tell he's banged up pretty bad. But and that's the other thing that gives you hope is like, dude, we still haven't had anything from Nick Smith. And
Well,
we've
so this is
gotten
the thing. This is the thing that we could talk about. Like as obviously we're elated, and dude, it's one of those games too. Like I'm just really proud of those guys. I'm really proud of that team. And I mean, I don't know. Did you see Devo and Muss
Mhm.
afterwards? Dude, it's just Devo is impossible. Like, you gotta be so happy for him. I mean, you could tell that like it wasn't going the way that he wanted it to go, and I would find it hard to believe just by the way that he's played the second half of the season and stuff. Like this dude's been living in the gym, and like it was, I don't know, it's pretty touching, and you know, you could
Well,
tell,
it was
and
too because
you could tell Muss is gonna hate it when Devo has to move on.
well, that moment was special because you could see that hit Devo, and that's why we're saying like this made it kind of worth it because we beat the Goliath and moved on, and now, I mean, like I said, you make a run to the Sweet 16, that's as good season as anyone could hope for, and it didn't look like that. It looked, I mean, we looked like a mediocre fledgling team through
Yeah,
most of the season, and a lot of it had to do with the inexplicable inability of our team to be able to shoot from distance. And we literally watched Devo like improve his 3-point shooting through sheer grit and will and grinding in the gym after hours by like 10%, like 10 points. You know what I mean? Like he
mm-hmm.
went from like a 23% shooter to a 34% shooter or something like that. And when to have that guy have that epic game and come back and have it finish it off, and then have Charles Barkley, who, I mean, dude, people see people like that are famous in like that and on the street and like freak out and take selfies with them. To have and like the people are just like, yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Like to have a famous person like Charles Barkley's an icon on the biggest stage. Everybody that cares anything about sports, which is what Devo cares about, is watching an an iconic player reference you. I mean, I don't know if you saw that, but Charles Barkley was talking about Devo Davis's speech and stuff. It's like that's such a cool moment for him.
I didn't see it. What did he say to?
Just after the thing, like when they came back after, Charles Barkley said, if anybody didn't see Devo Davis, that young man, him getting all emotional, like look at that. That's what this tournament means. Just saying something like that. That's what this
Mm-hmm.
means. But I feel like if you go back and watch that, you can see Charles Barkley is a person who didn't fulfill all his dreams in his career. Now, I mean, like I said, he's had an epic life, an epic
Mm,
career, but he knows what Devo is feeling in that moment, which is when you're a kid grinding in a gym like that, and I mean, it's literally Cain and Abel stuff it's biblical. Like you're sacrificing in the moment, and there's no guarantee
mm.
that it's going to be accepted. You know what I mean? There's no guarantee it's going to work out. It doesn't work. Your sacrifice does not work out for everybody. And I mean, it's what we were talking about before with like why not everybody hustles like crazy because 60%, 65% of the time, maybe more, nothing happens. You struggle and fight and get bruised up and you don't get the rebound. You're doing it for that time that it does work out. And for Devo, what he was feeling in that moment, I think, I mean, what's coming through there, and then you could see, like, I feel like if you watch Charles Barkley, you could tell in his face, like he knows what he's feeling, which is like my sacrifice was accepted. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it wasn't for naught. I grinded and I sacrificed and I put my sweat on the floor and it worked out. I mean, and like I said, it hasn't worked out
Yeah,
completely, but
and
it
I
worked.
think it seems like he was probably feeling all that, and Muss's words were like more than he could handle, right?
Yeah, saying like I feel like this guy's like a son. Yeah, I really do think, like I said, that was a really sweet. important, cool moment for Devo, and I'm really happy for him. And like I said, just the fact that you have somebody, like I said, go watch Charles Barkley. I feel like you could tell it wasn't just a throwaway thing. He was touched by what Devo said, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that he understands that. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
understands putting in work and striving for something and not knowing whether or not it's going to be worth it.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know?
there's one thing that's for sure going down the stretch. This is Devo Davis's basketball team. Devo's the guy that Musk trusts. That's who he trusts. And Devo will be back next year. I hope he comes back he has a COVID year. We could have Devo for 2 more years. And as far as I could tell, like if he decides to play 2 more years at Arkansas, that's going to be his team going forward. And you got to remember, like Devo is a guy that came in a recruiting class with Moses Moody, Jalen Williams, KK Robinson, and he was the 4th-ranked guy in that class. Moses Moody was the stud. Jalen Williams was a stud. KK was the shooter. And you had Devo, who was the athlete defender. Like he came in as a guy who was like a really good athlete. Wasn't like he's not crazy. Yeah, he's 6'4", he was an Arkansas kid, so he's gonna get that offer. But he was the lowest on that. And he's the last guy standing. And to me, like if you look at Devo from the beginning to now, I can't believe that like anyone has worked harder than Devo Davis.
Well, and every year now that Musselman's been there and he keeps getting, good recruits,
Yeah.
Devo has been never the guy that gets the media shine as far as like, I mean, he's on the poster, but
Yeah.
everyone's, talking about the Moody's and the Blacks and the Smiths and stuff. And man, saying the Blacks sounds wrong, but and so he has been a little bit underlooked, especially nationally.
Mm.
No one mentions Devo Davis nationally very, like
Yeah,
as
if you're watching an SEC broadcast, they'll mention like, oh, that's one of the best on-ball defenders in the SEC, maybe the best perimeter defender in the SEC, that kind of stuff. But yeah, like no one's talking about him for like all SEC or anything like that.
yeah, I mean, well, I mean, I just think like he doesn't show up on draft boards,
Mm.
like so what he's doing, and like I said, that's the way it is. I'm not saying he's been like, it's anybody's faulted him or anything, or he should feel, put out. It's just the way it is. But he has had to be, he's basically doing it for the love of competition
Mm.
and trying to trying to be great at something and not necessarily um having everybody talk about you.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? In the same way.
And Devo's going to be the guy though that can open a sports bar in Northwest Arkansas, and I will freaking go there, Devo. Because when
Or
you
just go
play,
into a sports bar and never have to buy a drink.
that's I'll buy a Devo drink for sure. Yeah, but he's gonna be that guy. I mean, you play 4 or 5 years, which is what he's gonna do, and Devo's gonna go down as a really beloved Razorback. That's what's gonna happen to him in a way that you can't do.
Especially when we win the national championship.
Yeah, especially. So okay, so moving on. I do want to talk about this. I think we have to hit this. Nick Smith. Again, I love Nick Smith. I love him for coming back when a lot of people said he shouldn't and wouldn't, and I think it says a lot about him. I like his competitive fire and stuff.
Still need him.
Still need him. We still need him. What do you make of Nick Smith plays 16 minutes, goes scoreless. He's 0 for 4. It's one of those things where, like, I mean, it's pretty glaring. What did you make of it?
It wasn't just the offense. It was, and I mean, I don't know why it didn't occur to me like, hey, let's pull him out of there, like Musselman did. But I was screaming at the TV. He was getting torched by a guy that just sprained his ankle.
Yeah.
Like the guy was just getting around him. He plays really aggressively, but again, we've talked about this a lot, but like he was taking bad angle. He was behind his guy all the time. Like he was just in the wrong position. And I mean, obviously, the guy was getting but they weren't easy shots, and like he was trying his best to recover. It wasn't an effort thing. It was a discipline or just not knowing about not having enough experience to guard that guy. But I mean, he got torched a couple of times by that guy. Like I said, after he
I
had a
mean,
hurt ankle, and
it seems like it was the right move. Yeah. I mean, obviously you won, but
yeah, I mean,
we
he was
we were better with Walsh on the floor.
for sure. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, defensively, obviously, and Walsh actually did more on offense too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, he wasn't great, but like he hit a three.
Hey, he
He,
had 10 points. I thought Walsh played great. I thought it was one of Walsh's
I
better
did too.
games. I thought he was, I mean, he's super important. I mean, everyone was important, but he's, I mean, Anthony Black's numbers are not like amazing. I mean, he had 4 points, 4 rebounds. You know, it wasn't, but he's hurt, man. But like, we needed him out there because he's a big body, dude. Like, you need him out there to play defense, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't, like, I mean, he had that block. Like, here's the thing, man. They started going as man and against guys like Grady Dick. By the way, that we shut Grady Dick's water off, and like that was great. But against guys like that, and you know, their point guard, Johnson,
Also,
those dudes,
if your last name is Dick, don't give your kid a weird name. Just saying. Just
yeah,
call him John. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Just sounds weird.
it does, it does. But they were going under some screens. You got to go over screens and those kind of shooters, and we started doing that in the second half, and they didn't get a lot of that stuff. And you know, Anthony Black had a huge block on a 3-point shot. That's why you need him out there, because even if he doesn't look like he's doing anything, you can't shoot the ball over Anthony Black.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big deal. And so, you know, him coming back after he was hurting, man. You could tell he was hurting.
Well, yeah, well, like I said, we just didn't have any more because Devo was in foul trouble and then Walsh got in foul trouble. We didn't have any more perimeter guys that could guard those perimeter guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, who else? Like, I remember like when at the end of the game when Walsh fouled out and he put Pinion in, I mean, it took me just a second. I was like, Pinion can't guard those guys, and I was like, oh, he's just putting him in because we've got the ball and he's gonna get fouled. We're gonna get fouled, and he
He's just
wants
putting
good
foul.
free.
He's just putting foul shooters in.
Yeah, and then he immediately put the other guy in,
Yeah, forward.
but
They put forward.
he didn't get to do anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Even Kamani getting open and getting that ball with 3 seconds left and then
And
bouncing it right back,
and immediately giving it to Black. Yeah,
giving it back to Black was good.
I thought Kamani played really well, dude. Like I mean, you know, 4 points, 10 rebounds, and I just thought he played. I thought he was really good, and he
Like I said,
just physical, man. I mean, like I love, and he's done doing this. And I hope he keeps doing it. I like Kamani starting. I mean, I know Kamani's never going to play more than half the game. Half the game is his max. He played 19 minutes tonight. That's the max he's probably going to play. He 19 minutes, 4 fouls. That's how he rolls. But I like the idea of like starting him in the game. One, he's the best rebounder on the team. Like per minute, I haven't done the math. I don't need to do the math. I already know that Kamani gets more rebounds per minute than anybody. But so you don't have to have one of the Mitchell twins in there to start if you're worried about rebounds. Kamani's going to rebound. But what Kamani does is he lets the other team know that they're like going to play a physical basketball game from the jump. And I think that's worth something to start that way.
He got those big guys both in foul trouble.
Mm-hmm. See, there was a time where they were doubling Kamani in the post. It was wild.
I mean, but you can't discount how much like getting those two guys, especially their main big guy, like he got him in foul trouble right away, and like anytime that guy's not on the floor, it's helpful.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right, man. I mean, I'm stoked. I'm excited. Thursday can't get here fast enough, and I'm excited, man.
Me too.
UConn, St. Mary's, either one. I'm excited to do that, and yeah, just really happy for Devo. I was really, yeah, I felt really. It was a feel good kind of game, man. After that, I was really happy for him, and dude, I mean, I don't know, maybe we haven't gone to the details of what he did, but man, you want to talk about just
making tough shots,
man. I mean, tough shots.
Knocking down that three. Like I said, when it's a 1-point game, There's literally at one point game, and we've got two of our best defenders fouled out. You got to assume you're going to probably lose that game in overtime, or at least it's going to be tough. Like,
Mhm.
and so there's not any play that we could have gone different. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
we needed every single bucket, possession, point, all of it. So yeah,
Yeah. The must bus keeps rolling, dude. They got it loaded up with little Debbie's. They stopped in Silent Springs, went to the store, got it loaded up, got all those carbs going. Uh, yeah, dude. We're gonna play ball next weekend. I
I'm
love it.
stoked. Maybe we'll have to do this the next one. Maybe we'll have to watch it together over at
I
that.
think we will. I think we should do it. We should get together, do the live recording afterwards. I think that'd be good.
All
Because
right.
I'll tell you this. I mean, I don't want to. I mean, I'm not trying to speak anything. It's a great season, but 3 Elite 8s in a row and
That's so impossible
yeah,
when you look at all the college teams in the country. Just being even in the last 16 is very improbable 3 years in a row.
yeah,
There's a lot of basketball teams, and there's a lot
yeah,
of good ones.
yeah, yeah, dude. It's pretty great. Well, all right, man. Well, we'll do it again on Thursday.
All right.
All right, see you.
See you, dude.